We're very fortunate to have Steve Matthias with us and Barbara Borgonobi. So Steve and Barbara, I saw you on earlier. Let's see if we can get you on the screen here.
Hey, Victor, I'm up. This is Steve.
Okay, great.
Hi, Victor,
there you
it's
are.
Barbara. I'm
Barbara,
here too.
good to see you. Wow, this is really exciting. The two of you look much better than your bio pictures. This is exciting. Well, you've had an opportunity to listen in on our CEO panel and our small to mid-sized business panel, and we focused on partnerships for innovation. And if you think about the discussion thread about communication and the continuing need for communication throughout, that sounds an awful lot like partnerships internally and externally as well. So I wonder if I could ask you both to take just a minute, introduce yourselves and introduce your divisions in the company and tell us a little bit about that. Barbara, would you like to start?
Sure. I'm Barbara Borgonobi. I'm the Vice President for Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Systems at Raytheon Intelligence and Space. So part of Raytheon Technologies, we had a big merger earlier this year in April to bring together United Technologies and Raytheon. And RINS, Raytheon Intelligence and Space, is one of our 4 business areas, which my business is part of. So within Raytheon Intelligence and Space, a great group of engineers, and great business. We do a lot of technical solutions across many domains, space, air, ground, sea, but we're very focused on sensors. So in my business, I've got targeting sensors, radar solutions, special mission aircraft. We do deliver aircraft for high altitude ISR surveillance, as well as I have a business focused on technology development for focal plane arrays. So broad base of what we do, and excited to be here today.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Steve.
Yes, good afternoon. It's great to be here. I'm the Vice President of Global Military Sales and Strategy at Bell, under the military business portion of Bell. I have all the current programs domestically with the U.S. government, and then internationally, all the Bell programs that would go to military organizations across the globe. I joined Bell 6 years ago, coming out of the Army, where I was at Army Special Operations Command. I'm also an Iowa farm boy, and I got to admit, I've never heard the statement "pulling an ox out of the ditch" that Jim had last panel, but I think I'm going to use that going forward, and my parents would appreciate it for sure. But a part of Bell Helicopter, most of you, or some of you may still refer to it as Bell Helicopter. We took the helicopter piece off a couple years ago because really Bell is a lot more than just helicopters. The V-22 is obviously not a helicopter. We're really a company that's focused on innovative vertical lift. We've got in the portfolio that I look at, particularly the Bell Boeing V-22, which is flown by the United States Marine Corps, Air Force Special Operations Command, and now the United States Navy, as the V-22 replaces the carrier onboard delivery platform, the C-2, and also Japan is taking delivery of their first V-22s. And then on the attack helicopter and combat utility helicopter, H-1 Zulu, UH-1 Yankee, the United States Marine Corps fly those aircraft in the Czech Republic, and Bahrain will also be flying some of those aircraft. I think probably throughout the day, folks have heard from different people at Bell, but the Bell was down selected for to build 2 prototypes, one for the Future Attack Reconnaissance Aircraft and one for the Future Long Range Assault Aircraft. So that was a great thing for Bell and all of our teammates and suppliers. And then I just close that out by saying that it's really an incredible time in the aerospace defense industry. I couldn't think of a better time to be in this business space. I really felt fortunate to have joined a company like Bell and to join this type of industry, because there's really nothing in my mind more important than our responsibility to build platforms that support our nation's greatest resources, which is our sons and daughters that are serving as soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. Back to you.
Steve, absolutely. Thank you very much. You know, I'd like to ask this question first to Barbara and then to you, Steve, but given that this panel is focused on partnerships for defense innovation, you know, we're in a very fast-paced time, and you know, speed to field is a common mantra. Okay, what challenges, Barbara? Excuse me. What challenges have you encountered working with non-traditional partners? And can you share how you help remove some of those barriers to enable small businesses and commercial firms?
Yeah, so I think aligned with the national defense strategy, speed is of the utmost importance, and we're going to continue to see the need for speed. And with that, we have to tap into the talent and available resources in non-traditional partnerships. We absolutely can't have a domain just within our own knowledge base. We're going to have to go out to others that have not been part of the defense industry before. But one of the big challenges is that we have real requirements. So cybersecurity would be an example that I would point to. That's a real needed requirement, but can be very difficult for non-traditional suppliers to partake in the business because they may not have the systems in place to deal with the cybersecurity requirements that are necessitated by the type of business we do. So that's an area that we've faced before. We have deployed our resources to establish non-traditional suppliers quickly within 30 days using our systems so that they can be able to participate. And then a second area I'd point out is clearances. I think we're all struggle sometimes with the speed of getting cleared individuals into our portfolios, even as big industry partners. But that's another area where we can offer help. And I think the success for many of our services is going to demand industry leaders such as Bell and Raytheon Technologies to continue to help guide the way and bring in non-traditional suppliers into the mix.
Absolutely, and your focus on cyber now is right in line with the Department of Defense focus on cyber. And our worry is really for our down the tiers in our supply chain to be able to help those folks get up to speed. Steve, some thoughts here. You're on mute, I think.
Yeah, my apologies. You'd think after 7 months of COVID-19 that I would not, hopefully somebody else did that today, and I wasn't the first, but it wouldn't surprise me if I wasn't. I'll start with the supply chain thread, because I know you talked about a little bit on the last panel as well, and this idea of digital thread. It's really, we're finding it's an absolutely critical component of how we do business, and helping companies who may not have that ability to do a digital thread or haven't updated their software and their capabilities is something that we've worked hard on. And Lisa Atherton, the panel before this panel, was talking about Bell and Team Valor. So as Team Valor stood up as we designed the V280, that was all done digitally. It was all built off of off like a Surface Pro computer, and to be able to integrate the suppliers into that so that everyone had the digital capability. The downstream piece of that, as you look at how do you maintain the platform and give that technology to soldiers, all of it's connected. So getting suppliers that have the ability to stay in touch with you digitally so that you can design more quickly and be able to design a platform that's more sustainable, more maintainable, and a lower cost to both operate and to build is really important. And then I'd also touch on this whole idea of the acquisition process timing. I know we still, and me included, fuss a lot about we're still too slow. We absolutely are. I think with the technology evolution as is, we should be much faster in acquisition. However, there are a lot of ground that the government and industry's made over the last year. And I think as you look at modular open system approach, the MOSA, and how you bring companies in to do rapid prototyping, just the Bell V280 alone, and how we did the joint multi-role tech demonstration and brought Team Valor together. That aircraft now is almost 200 hours and 152 flights. There's a lot of ways to take down barriers and bring companies together when you're looking at trying to do things more quickly.
That's wonderful. And the need for speed also speaks to the need for really high quality workforce. And so I know that you worry about that every day. And Barbara, could you comment for just a minute on how you tackle those kinds of things?
Yeah, so I would say right now through the pandemic, it's been a different experience on how we can tackle the needs of our talent base. In Raytheon Technologies, absolutely, we believe that people are our greatest asset. That's where we get our innovation from. That's where we get all of the solutions that we deliver to our important customers. But it is difficult to, especially in these recent times, I will say that we have, I think there's going to be a silver lining that comes out of all of this, which means that we'll probably be able to access more diverse talent, more talent in various geographical areas that maybe we had thought we were capable of doing in the past. I'm sure Steve and the Bell team are also having success through the pandemic. And it's been challenging, but we've seen great successes through it. But overall, a lot of our focus is also on the long-term talent development. So encouraging, especially young adults, especially on my end, I have a big passion for encouraging women to pursue science, technology, engineering, and math in their disciplines as they continue their educational journey. So that's something we also spend a lot of time on, is how do we not just look at what's in front of us with talent development, but also the long-term needs, because as a nation, we absolutely need more individuals to continue to go into technical fields to support what we're going to need, that all those emerging technologies that I'm sure we'll touch on. We need the people to drive those technologies in the future.
Absolutely. Steve, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was very fortunate in an Army career to be an Army aviator and spending quite a bit of time in the special ops communities. When I left the military and came to the industry, I really thought I'd see this downturn in quality of people. And so I was a realist, so I didn't expect the transition to be all that great. And what I found was actually the opposite. The quality of people out here is just absolutely amazing. Not to say where I worked didn't have quality folks in the military, but it really is amazing. And so as you look at how do you capture those kind of folks and keep them in a very competitive market space where not just within the aerospace industry, but other industry out there on the West Coast or wherever it may be, getting and retaining quality people. I completely agree with Barbara. The culture piece is very, very important. And that's one thing our CEO, Mitch Snyder, and our executive leadership team have worked very hard on, is driving the culture. I often use the term, there's 5 special operations forces truths. The first is humans are more important than hardware. That is absolutely key. Even in a technology company, humans are more important than hardware. So finding the right folks and then having a culture that make them want to stay with the company long term, not just a short term, but for the long term.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Steve, something you just said struck me, which is our competition is much different than 15, 20 years ago. We're competing with all technology companies for talent, not just the defense sector. And so it's very important that we continue to drive really interesting work, which partner with our customers. We have exceptionally interesting work to offer, but that is, we have to be cognizant that we're competing for talent for across technology sector, not just defense.
Absolutely the case. I wonder if now would be a good time to share a specific example of an innovative partnership or a partnership for innovation that's made a difference to your objectives. Do you want to go first, Barbara?
Sure. So I could share quite a few, but I'll start at the more macro level with the Mentor Protege program. And this is a partnership with the Department of Defense that I think has just reaped great rewards. We continue to work on finding additional proteges that we can support that develop capabilities that benefit our customers. But personally, I was able to work with a company, EEI in Florida, women-owned company that does great design and manufacturing. And we started them off on a single program, and now they're supporting 26 different programs across our business. And so I think, again, it's really around how do you develop relationships and provide support. A lot of these companies have skills and capabilities, but it goes to how can you get them to scale, and how can you help the companies be successful in scaling their capabilities to another level. And then the second example I give is we also recently were able to work with a company that was providing high frequency radios in the commercial market. And we were able to bridge what we know to militarize, to ruggedize with what they were doing in the commercial market. It was a fun company to work with. Austin, small company, small base, very innovative, very fast. And so, again, it's how do you drive what we bring to the table and what that company already has, put it together, and then we put the resources in how we could get it to scale and get it to market.
Two good examples for partnerships. Thank you very much for that. Steve, some examples out of your playbook.
Yeah, the one I'll mention is a partnership that we have with the United States Military Academy at West Point. And for all the other Academy grads out there, I apologize for using West Point as an example, but they have maybe you probably know West Point, they have this, the cadet capstone research projects that they do. And we found working with those young cadets as they're getting close to being officers in the United States Army and going out and being with soldiers, it's a great opportunity to see how they think, and then also give them some idea of what's in the art of the possible. And so they take that with them as they go out into their careers. But we had an opportunity last year to work with this assault lift element, which is a group of cadets that looked at how the U.S. Army would employ future vertical lift and how that change in speed changes how other supporting capabilities like communications and fires and logistics, how that all gets nested together. We had a great relationship with the West Point faculty, the cadets themselves, the Association of Grads, and then the Bell team, all talking together. And every time we engage with those young cadets, and it just really is amazing to see the bright minds that we have that are joining the military. Some of those cadets will drive on. Someday will be the senior PEOs, program executive officers, and have a memory of working with the aerospace industry. Some will get out in 5 years and go work with some of our, for some of our competition, but it doesn't matter, right? The idea is informing their brains now so that they have an understanding of, again, what's in the art of the possible out there in industry.
Sure, that's absolutely the case. And, I spent some time in my career supporting the Navy on a number of things. And one of the things that we recognized was that when we began a new submarine program, the first commander of that ship was probably in the 8th grade. And so the question was, how do we move all that along and bring all of our systems along to accommodate that commander when he's ready to take that ship to sea? I wonder if we could spend just a minute and get you to share what you think the next big areas will be for innovation in your spheres of operation. Barbara, you want to start?
Sure. So Steve already touched on one that I think is going to be incredibly important, and that's the digital thread, digital engineering. So I think that we're going to continue to see the need, and that's going to involve our supply base as well, to drive digital engineering into all of our activities and processes, and that digital thread. But one thing that we're focused on, especially in my business for ISR, is how do we improve decision superiority? So artificial intelligence, machine learning. I know that for a lot, that could sometimes feel like it's a buzzword right now because everybody's working on AI ML, similar to when everybody was working on automation and 3D printing at that time. But it really is going to be a game changer. I think it absolutely, when you especially think of ISR and the amount of data that is out there, taking that data to be more actionable information for our customers will be a game changer. And so that's something that my team, my engineering team is spending a lot of time on, is developing those techniques to incorporate in with our sensors. And I think that, across the board, not just in ISR, but it's very relevant to the business that I'm in. We're going to see great advancements in the future.
Wonderful, absolutely. Steve, I know that when we started this discussion, you shared that Bell is not just a helicopter company. There's a whole lot going on there across many different domains. I wonder if you could share some insights onto where you think the next most important innovations might be.
Yeah, I think I've got two examples. So I start with my son's at flight school at the U.S. Army Flight School, Fort Rucker, and his advanced aircraft he's in now is the same one that I flew when I left flight school in the 1988 timeframe. Now, the systems on there, of course, have significantly improved since 1988, but same basic speed and survivability. So I think the near term, the most innovative thing that we're working on that's going to change the way the world operates is this idea of affordable advanced vertical lift capability And I add the affordable piece because that may be the most important piece, and we consider the budgets. And I know there's been discussions about that today as we look at what the budgets for the next 2 or 3 years are and the tough decisions that are going to have to be made. It's absolutely possible, going back to the digital thread and the way we design and build and are able then to long-term drive costs down in the aircraft, to have affordable advanced vertical lift platforms. So that technology, and that I think is one of the absolute critical things that is going to happen in a short time. A little bit longer term than that, but I don't think much longer, is that, the Jetsons theme, and Bell has been working on some unmanned capabilities, the autonomous pod transport, which could move supplies around the battlefield, or could move those same supplies around congested cities. And we flew the APT 70 here in the Dallas-Fort Worth airspace just about less than a month ago. So that technology is coming, but I think it'll be just around the corner where we'll look back and say, wow, what cars, it's nice to have a car, it's nice to drive a car, but it'll be much more convenient to move people around in autonomous platforms. And I'll use a kind of a story to give that analogy. In 1988, I was fortunate enough to go as a young lieutenant, to be on the demonstration validation phase of what was then LHX, and I was on the McDonnell Douglas Bell team. And we went out to NASA Ames, and they showed us this computer screen, and on that computer screen, there's these little buttons in the screen, and they said, touch the button on the screen, and I touched it, and stuff happened. Now, it wasn't very fast, but stuff happened. My son now would look at that and say, are you kidding? I've got an iPad, an iPhone, and so I think just around the corner, we're going to see significant changes in how we move people and equipment around the battlefield in autonomous platforms. Back over to you.
It's been a common theme through our panels, the idea that we really have to be able to understand our digital world and understand all the tools that will work for us in that digital world. And we have just a minute, so that brings me to a last question that I'd like you to share some insights on. And we touched on this just a little bit, and that is that digital workforce. And so we know we have undergraduates coming out with computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering degrees. And we know that when they get to us, we really want them to be able to hit the ground running. And so what are your thoughts about the reach back there to help those graduates and undergraduates in order to be able to deliver on their first job, but also be lifelong learners for Raytheon and Bell? Steve, you want to take that? Oh, Barbara, go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve. You can start.
Thanks, Barbara. I think it doesn't matter what, whether there's a high-tech employee or something that maybe isn't in the technology realm, but he still is a new young employee. It applies to across the board, and it's about being a part of a team. Come in and join the team, listen, work hard, be ready to push back and disagree with folks respectfully. Of course, I use the Ricky Bobby theory a lot, and that's, you say whatever you want as long as you say with all due respect, from Talladega Nights for those that don't know. But I think that for youngsters coming out to join the industry, be candid, be yourself, and work hard. And it doesn't matter what your background is technology-wise. I think it applies across the board.
Absolutely. Barbara.
Yeah, I completely agree with Steve's comments. I was going to say the same thing, that I think this is applicable to any degree, any individual joining our company coming out of university. But there are some specific areas that we're working on as Raytheon Technologies. So for one, we do have strategic partnerships with specific universities across the globe, across the world, not just here domestically. And that helps us with getting introductions early. We also are looking at, I mentioned one of the challenges with clearances, and we're also looking at how through internships, co-ops, we could get some of these individuals cleared prior to coming in for their full-time day job one. So that's something that's helpful. But fundamentally, similar to Steve's comments, it's all about compelling work. It's all about providing the individuals with really interesting work so that they want to stay in the industry and they're not just looking to hop to the next job. And with that comes the culture. And for Raytheon Technologies, we also have a number of employee resource groups that we provide as great opportunities for our employees to get involved together, including during this challenging time where we've had so many new employees. We've had tens of thousands of new employees coming in. And it's very challenging when they don't have the same physical interaction. And so those employee resource groups provide opportunities for networking and connections to help those employees feel how they belong and how they're part of our culture and company. Victor, I think you might be on mute.
I am. Steve, don't feel bad.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think you had to do that.
Okay. This has been a terrific discussion, and I want to thank you both very much. And I want to thank Bell for being a day sponsor for this event, and for Raytheon for being our signal sponsor for the entire program. And it's been a wonderful opportunity to visit with you, and I'm sure that our attendees will have thoughts, things to think about that you've shared. Again, thank you very much. And I'm going to turn this back over to our moderator here, and let them take it from here. Take care and be well.
Thank you.
All right. Outstanding. Thanks to you all. Really, every time we have a little fireside chat or a little repartee between folks, it's above and beyond what some of these folks have shared with us. It really is, it's great.